talk me through your day leading up to the fight. Like, what was going through your head? How are you feeling?
I don't know. I wasn't nervous at the start of the day.
Yeah.
Because I had some lectures in the morning, so I sort of like wasn't ready. I wasn't sort of thinking, oh, I'm fighting tonight. I was thinking, oh, I'm just going to go to my lectures.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had lecture at 10, and then went back, had some food. Then I started like packing my bag, making sure I had everything, just checking over, getting suit ready for after it. And then it was only really when I started walking to the venue that it kicked in, because I had my brother, my dad, and my best mate from home came down.
Yeah.
So I sort of had that to deal with as well. I saw them, said hi to them. My mate was with me throughout the day because he then came with my housemates. So it was once I left him, once I was heading to the venue, and I was like, all right, weigh-ins, like now it's getting serious. Now it's getting real. What about you? What was your day?
What was that?
My night before was quite ritualistic, I think I'd say.
Okay.
I went to the library, so I had training. You know, obviously we had a priming session. We didn't really do much, like just loads of stretching. Got like the night before you'd have a fight, you'd just warm up as if you're gonna fight, and then just do loads of stretching, go home.
Yeah.
So obviously that's what we both did in the gym in the session the day before.
Yeah, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to risk any injury or anything like that. You just make sure you know what you need to do the just before the fight.
And I found that whole week building up to it really weird, because every time it was slightly strenuous, it'd always be calm down. Don't go too hard. Don't gas yourself. And we'd gone from like so extreme training. You know, every session, if there's an opportunity to just gas yourself out and like build your conditioning, you're doing that to just now you need to recover. So went to training, then went to the library for a bit, and then I went to church with Dylan, one of the boys that we box with, and that was good. We went in the to evening mass, and then came back. I ended up watching June Part 2 with my mates the night before. It's like just need to like chill myself out.
Yeah. Did you get a call from Aidan the night
Yeah,
before?
but I'd had, this was the other thing, is intermittent throughout this. I was getting calls from Aidan, who's our coach, but he was like, you know, make sure you're good and stuff.
Yeah.
But most of it was about admin. It was all about like sorting the show out. So
yeah, because I had a conversation with him. We had the conversation about me and how I was feeling, and then I was like, oh, how are you feeling about it? And he was like, there's a 70% chance it goes ahead, 30% chance it doesn't, because, you know, the doctor who had been awful the whole way through had sent the refs and judges the wrong list and stuff like that, and he was like, yeah, there's a chance that it might not go ahead and we might have to turn it into just like, you know, glorified sparring instead of actual fights and exhibitions.
Yeah, so context for the club itself, you're the treasurer, I'm the president.
Yeah.
We were both...
I'm now president because I won, no? Is that not how it works?
It's not like a medieval duel. You can do it now.
Yeah.
I mean, the hard bit's over. We've done the show.
I'm glad I've not done it. I don't think I could have done it.
Yeah, well, I'll get onto that in a moment of how we're feeling from like a committee point of view.
Yeah.
So we had this drama of you, me, 5 others. We're all arranging the show. We had our medicals done. So when you're boxing, you need to have your medicals done on the day, but you also needed to have a medical done previously. You have to have that for sparring, and that's just general standard in boxing.
Yeah.
Now, we had all had medicals done. However, the doctor, Half Job Harry, had not completed them. So he had done them all. Everyone was like fit, but he hadn't uploaded them. So from an insurance... For months. So from an insurance point of view, because you need to have them for insurance, it couldn't go ahead.
There were some of the lads that had them done on Halloween. If not, I think there was a few the week before as well.
It was like the week before Halloween was when most of them had them done.
Yeah, and some of them didn't even get theirs on Sport 80, which is what you need it on, until like less than a week before the fight.
Yeah, I mean, I had mine done. My first medical was done last year in February. That actually never got uploaded. Pretty sure.
The same doctor, wasn't it?
Same doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a massive concern that they weren't going to be uploaded. We're getting calls from like the tournament supervisors being like, it's not going to, you know, this could be bad.
Yeah.
Well, not annoyed at us, just like we need to get these medicals uploaded. So I'm on the phone to them, on the phone to Aidan, on the phone to other doctors, seeing if they might be able to do the.
Well, I'd been messaging him like multiple times, and he read it and didn't reply. He read it, said he was going to do it, and then didn't do it. I even had Aidan, our head coach, has his another boxing club that he coaches for, and they were doing medicals. I asked him, when you see the doctor, because he had the same doctor, when you see the doctor, can you tell him? He said he told him, still nothing.
Well, I saw him when he was doing medicals for his show, for the other boxers, and I went up to him and he was like, yeah, they'll be done, and I was there like, fuck, this could go south. But luckily, good blokes, the supervisors, and all of the other guys that were helping to plan, and they made sure that doctor did it. Yeah. The doctor did it. So I was never worried about that. I don't know, maybe I should have been, but I was like, you know, either he'll get them done, or we do have another guy that we can see, and it's just going to be inconvenient, but it will be fine. But I guess
it was just annoying.
But I'm not the coach. It wasn't going to fall. Yeah, it was just repetitive.
Because like I was reaching out to him, and like I got left on opened, I got left on delivered. Like, I got a reply, and he just didn't end up doing it. Like, it was a ball ache. Yeah,
so it was definitely a good note for us and for the next committee. Like, I spoke to a lot of other officials and just went with all the people that they recommend when dealing with like doctors and stuff like that. But that was a massive part of the weekend building up to it. So I remember having a long conversation with a coach about that, then two of the supervisors about it as well. And then there was the whole thing about the bout list. So the supervisors needed the list like a certain time before the show.
Yeah.
They hadn't got it. Then we got it over, but then it turned out they'd been sent the wrong list on the night. They rocked up with the wrong list.
Yeah, and they weren't happy about it because the list that they got was from weeks back. And
I mean, it was from weeks ago.
Aidan had written on it like spar independent.
Yeah.
Which obviously you're the day of the fight. There is no spar.
So he was getting absolutely like hounded. Like, that's ridiculous, and it wasn't his fault. No. Someone else had just given a wrong list.
It was the doctor.
Yeah.
Like he caused us so many issues.
So so back to the night before. So all of this is going on, and I think in my mind I was like, I'm kind of happy these things are going on because it's distracting me from like what's actually happening the night before or what's happening the next day. And then day comes around, I wake up. I got phoned like 20 minutes before my alarm went off by my missus saying, I can't remember what she wanted to ask me. It was like, oh, by the way, I'm not going to bring your anniversary present. I'll like it was like it was something like that. And I was like, what? Yeah, that's fine. Like,
you can care less in that moment.
And then I was like, fuck. So that's I'm awake now. Yeah. And then she sent me loads of messages like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. And then what did I do after that? And then I just cracked on with my day like normal.
Yeah.
So I kind of liked that I was awake a little bit earlier, so I got up a bit sooner. Kind of felt like good about myself because I was already like having quite a productive morning. And then I picked her up from the station around like midday, and then we were just gonna like chill out and do stuff until then. And then I felt really bad because then I just said, look, I just want to do some uni work to like take my mind off it. So I just did like uni work for like an hour and a half beforehand, and then intermittent to that, I'm getting more calls. I'm getting more like text, this happening, that's happening, and then finally the time comes. I had lunch, had peanut butter bagel. It's about 4. Classic. Got down to the Great Hall where we're having the show. And yeah, everything was kind of like in motion. Ring was already set up. And I was kind of just doing laps of the building over and over. But this was probably the problem, is a lot of people then turning up and then talking to me. And there was a number of jobs that needed to be done that were really nagging on my mind. And again, I think because the fight was getting closer and closer, they were getting more and more nagging. Like, I was really worried that the DJ didn't have the correct list for the walkout songs.
Yeah.
And then I hadn't properly made sure he'd got it, and people were walking into the venue. Bear in mind, I probably had about an hour to be... I could have sorted that.
Okay.
So it was like a weird, like, active procrastination.
Yeah.
For like that hour and a half of me kind of like just doing laps of the building and chatting to people, but not really getting things set up. So I figured in future, if I was doing that again, I'd have turned up actually later.
Okay.
And made sure that everything got done. So then I could have immediately got into like the headspace of boxing wares.
Yeah, I get what you mean, sort of.
Yeah. So then people started arriving. First bout, second bout.
I mean, people started. We were supposed to open doors at 6. We didn't end up doing medicals until medicals were supposed to be at 6. We didn't do them until like 6:30, if not quarter to 7.
I think it was like 7 when they were done, because I don't think the first bout started until. To be fair, we were saying we're so late. I'd already said to everyone the first bout will start at 7:30.
Yeah, you were predicting it'd be a bit later because we originally said 7, and then you were like, don't think it will be.
But no one really seemed too fussed. I think people were getting pissed off that the whole audience had to stay outside until like 6:30, something like that. And actually, that was probably more us fucking around with the lighting and and all of that. And again, that was stuff that I could have done earlier. I think we probably could have just had everyone in at 6 and. We'd have been running around doing the medicals, but it wouldn't have really been...
Yeah, people wouldn't have really mattered because, like, to them, they would have been in on time and it would have been half an hour late and they all would have got drinks and stuff. They wouldn't have really mattered.
Yeah. But all to learn for next time. So then medicals were done late, but actually as soon as they were done, we were pretty, like, got through it quick.
Yeah, everyone got into warming up. Everyone got in the headspace. Everyone seemed fine.
Yeah, and then so this was the thing that I noticed, is that you started warming up way earlier than I did.
Yeah, I started warming up before so we were like 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's people that you only sort of had the first 4 people or so start warming up straight after medicals, and I started warming up before the first fight even started. Like you had Lola and Anna and Ellie and the girls started warming up. And I started warming up sort of with them. Yeah. I don't necessarily know why, because I didn't need to, but I thought, like, get myself warm and keep myself warm.
Yeah.
Like, I did some warming up, like, I did some skipping, the stretches, and then, like, I'd watch some of the rounds, and then I'd go back, keep myself warm. I did the bleep test at a point. I'll be so for real.
Yeah, I saw that, actually. I was like, what is he doing?
Yeah, because you were skipping at the end, and I kept running up and past you because I'm a runner. Like I run for enjoyment, and I run like to sort of like it calms me down. It's sort of like therapy.
I get you, mate.
You know what I mean? Like some people have like when they play their sport, like it calms them down. That's what I have. So I was there, and I was like, if I could just go for a run now, I would, but I couldn't leave. So I was like. I've not done the bleep test since I was in, like year 11. So I just chucked it on YouTube, did a bit of the bleep test. Didn't do it all, but
I was going to say, like, that would not be... You don't want to be doing the bleep test, like, right before you go out and fight.
Yeah, I didn't get to the end of it, but like, I did a few levels, and I was just, running back and forth.
What did you get to before you started?
I can't remember, probably level 3 or something, just light. Like, I wasn't... Because I didn't want to... Because I was doing it in a shorter space.
Yeah.
So I wasn't doing the full...
Is it...
I think it's 20 metres.
Was it 20 minutes?
Okay. But I wasn't. I don't know. I was probably doing like 10 or so. So like I wasn't doing it properly.
Was it go up to? Is it the lower the number, the better?
The higher the level, better. Yeah.
Oh, the higher the number.
Yeah. So you start on level 1, and then it get the
to go 1.1, 1.2, or to go like 1.8. I swear it goes like point.
Yeah, potentially. I can't remember. There's probably different versions or whatever.
Yeah.
The one I went was level 1, level 2.
Okay.
The one that I got on. But yeah, it's the faster you need to be is the higher the level. But yeah, I didn't do much of it. It was just something to like so I could run a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember noticing the fact that you didn't start warming up until sort of I don't know. The 3rd or 4th fight. You didn't start warming until after the lads had started.
That is the thing is I thought okay, I was thinking really like by time, but I don't know if you think okay, let's say you take half an hour before to warm up for your fight. That seems fine, but then when you think about it, it feels very stressful to not be properly warmed up within say 5 minutes of you needing to walk out. Do you see what I mean? So that was at the time I was thinking I need to time my warm up perfectly. But then actually what happened is I got 3 rounds in. Thing is though, is that balcony we were on was already so hot.
It was. Yeah.
So I did a round of skipping and I was drenched.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, good. That's fine. Whereas in the gym that we had been used to training in and warming up in,
quite cold in there.
It's so Baltic that it would take like 10 rounds to fill to get a sweat on. So
yeah, that is true. There was quite a difference when it came to warming up.
And I kept I had shorts, trackies, shirt and jumper on as well. To like, so I was constantly a little bit like clammy. So I would be quicker.
I warmed up in joggers and a underlayer.
Yeah, you had like an Under Armour under your vest, didn't you?
Yeah. And then like just before I went to fight, I took that off. Obviously changed into shorts. Because part of me was like, didn't really want to get like the vest sweaty.
Yeah.
So I had the underlayer on, so that took the underlayer off. Dry myself down with a towel a little bit, and then put the vest on. So when I went into the fight, like I sort of, although I was warm, like I didn't feel sweaty already.
Yeah.
So I was like, I feel like a little uncomfortable sort of.
Yeah.
If I got in the ring and I was already drenched.
Yeah, and that's what I was so. I think I'd had so many sparring sessions, especially in our gym where it gets cold. Where I'd warmed up, got cold, and then my sparring was shit. And I think I was so much like worried about that, and that's why, realistically, I could have warmed up earlier, and I think that's what I would do going forwards. But then also, my warm up got squashed on the other side because then coach comes over, he's like, right, we've got to put the Vaseline on your face. We'll do a little bit of pads, but then he ran off to do some other bits, and I'm not saying you had the better warm-up than me, and that's why I lost, but I noticed that Luke was doing pads with you for ages, and then I got only a minute of pads.
Yeah, well, there's a point where for Ollie's fight, he didn't have a coach come up.
Yeah, and then
so he got Gethin, bless him.
He did some sick pads with him as well.
He offered to do pads, and I think Brad did pads with Ollie for a little bit as well, or I saw Brad doing pads with someone.
Yeah, Brad was good because he had asked, "Can I do warm ups?" And Aiden and me were like, "We probably don't need him." But then I just said to him before, "You're probably not going to be needed, but just keep an eye on things just in case they end up doing it." Yeah,
because they got it all confused, and you had Adam was meant to be warming up, but he was down in someone's corner. thankfully, Ollie ended up being able to have some warming up. But yeah, me and Luca did like a round of pads, and then he was like, "Oh, to shake it off, I think he said like do some squat jumps, whatever." Whilst he checked on like what round the others were on, and then we did like another round of pads because like you said, I'd already warmed up for a while.
Yeah.
He was like, "How are you feeling?" I was like, "I'm already quite warm." She was like, "Oh, we won't push it much then," because didn't want to have me doing a full round of pads, hard style when I'm already warm. Just tire me out.
I definitely should have started warming up earlier and just stayed warm like you did. Because I was thinking there are a few things like I felt warm, but I remember I was throwing my punches and I was like, my legs feel a bit like they're not quite elastic enough. Like I could have done some squat jumps and stuff, or like some little primers that I didn't do that we had been doing in all of our warm up, like practicing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I was getting like really complacent before my warm up. Before starting, I was like, I'll be fine. Like it doesn't matter how good my warm up is, like all of the rest of the training will kick in.
Yeah. No, I was the other end. I was like, it's better to do more than less.
Yeah. And I mean, in the end, I don't know. When we were fighting, I don't think a squat jump would have made much of a difference.
No,
it was just straight.
Yeah, I mean, once we got in there, like, I don't think the warm up, like, the fact that I'd stayed warm, I don't think it mattered much. I was gassed straight away. Like, like I said to you, after the first round, I sat down, I had some water, and I turned to the coach. I was like, I feel sick. I was like, in my head, I was thinking, like, have I already gassed myself out? Because like, it was the hard, like, I've always done hard sparring, but like, once I got into the ring, I was like, okay, even harder.
Yeah.
And then I sat down and I was thinking, like, have I gassed myself out too soon? And then we got into it, and it sort of, I sort of leveled out, and I was like, right, okay, like sort of, I was like, I can do this once we started the second round. But I sat there, I was like, did I start off too hard? Like, I didn't feel like I had, but then I sat down and I was like, oh God.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, the thing that I hated about it, and I think this is the same in sparring, and maybe it's because it's so much so quick, is I wasn't like drenched in sweat. It felt like I'd done so much that my body didn't know what to do, and I just felt like hot, like really fucking hot. And then and then I'm like kind of thinking, have I gassed out? And then it gets to like 45 seconds, the round is about to start again, and I don't know if you felt this, suddenly you're like, I feel fine again. Like it's the fitness kind of kicks back
once
in.
I stood up and like I started throwing a few more jabs, I was like, okay, like I do have more in me still. Like, I can still do this. But yeah, it's just like after when I sat down between the second and the third round, I didn't have the same thoughts. It was just the first round. I don't know if it was also partly still nerves in me.
Yeah.
Maybe that was what was making me feel a bit sick as well. I didn't feel like I was actually going to throw up. But I was just sat there like my stomach just felt like a bit like I had that pit in my stomach. I think it was probably a bit more of nerves after the first round. I was a bit like, oh, okay, so that's what a first round of a fight feels like.
Yeah, I remember actually, I didn't feel that pit, and then for a moment I did before we walked out, and I thought, if I move too much, I'm going to be sick. And then I thought, but actually I don't really have much to throw up, so I'm not too worried. Like I didn't eat very much before. I had lunch, then I had like 2 bananas.
Yeah, well we had 2 very different sort of walkouts and like entrances to the ring, in the fact that everyone that I've spoken to since was saying like, oh, your opponent seemed really confident.
Yeah.
You walked out, I remember once you got in the ring, you sort of like raised your hands to the crowd and stuff.
Yeah.
And when you were in your corner, you were there with your hands up already. I literally, my walkout song started playing, I walked out, arms down, just didn't look at anyone, just walked round, put my gloves on, got in the ring, just once I was in the ring, I didn't really look round much. I didn't put my arms up. My arms went up until they said like fight.
Yeah.
I literally had my arms down. He came over. He checked your gloves. But my arms went down, and then he's like fight. And then I was like, right, guard up and whatever. And it was like very different. I was sort of like, don't want to think about anything. I'm just like, I'm just trying to get in that headspace. Whereas you were like sort of like you came across more confident.
Yeah, I think that was to my downfall in the end. Looking back, yeah, because
Why, are you trying to say that you were too confident?
Yeah, I think I just didn't properly get myself in that, like...
Yeah.
Me and you, I was too much... I wasn't worried about the crowd. I think, like, when we had done interclubs and stuff, where it was in front of, 40, 50 people, that had really warmed me up to... Crowd's just a crowd. You don't notice them. Doesn't matter to me if it was like... I mean, sure, if it was like thousands of people, you'd probably start to really be a bit nervous. But I remember looking down and I saw the crowd. Like, you could see that, even though there was about 300 people there, you can still see that empty space around them. Like,
it's not quite a big venue.
And you're still above them. Like, I didn't feel that kind of, oh my God, so many eyes on me.
Yeah.
So, well, at the end of the day, people are gonna comment no matter what happens. So...
Yeah.
Not worried about that, but I think that's maybe I was too nonchalant about that. So yeah, I was kind of going, "Come on, crowd!" And actually, I should probably have been thinking about keeping my chin down and keeping my hand tucked and all of that sort of
stuff. Like my head was just so much in like the fight's about to start that, like I was saying, I rewatched our fight back and. You can hear when they say my name, people start booing. And then,
all my friends.
Yeah. Well, I hope it wasn't my friends. And then you can hear like the announcers like, "Oh, booing isn't appreciated in amateur boxing."
Because I sat there while Adam was like putting my gloves on. And I just thought, fuck's sake.
Yeah. But in the moment, like, if I hadn't rewatched that video, I wouldn't have known anyone booed me, and I wouldn't have known. I didn't even hear the announcer say anything. I just like in my head. From me getting in the ring and us fighting, nothing was said other than fight.
Yeah.
And then, it was only when I rewatched it, my mate was like, "Oh, they were booing you," and I was like, since when?
It's funny because when I had both of the scraps actually against Ben Waldy, I think I was far more locked in because I remember people saying, "Oh, did you hear me say this and did you hear me say that?" And I went. Nah, but then when people, maybe it's because it was so loud, or maybe it's because I wasn't quite dialed in like that. People saying, "Oh, did you hear this and did you hear that?" And I felt like when we were boxing, I was taking everything in, like every chant, every announcer. Like I felt like everything was coming in at once, as well as your punches, rather than like completely. And I thought I would have gone way more like focused, but. I don't know, maybe I didn't, but it wasn't like I was panicking either.
Yeah, well, when we were in the fight, I heard stuff. I didn't hear the announcer beforehand, but once we were in the fight, like I heard my name a few times, and I heard people say "Dude from Stockport," which is where I'm from.
Yeah.
And that, like, in the moment, like you can't really react. The moment I was like, oh, I quite enjoyed hearing that. Like, you can say your name, but like hearing like "Do it for Stockport," I don't know. I just because
something like
because I always go on about it because obviously I'm Cardiff Uni, everyone's Southern, everyone's Welsh.
Yeah.
There's not many Northerners.
Yeah.
When I heard that "Do it for Stockport," I was like, this fight is for the North.
North v South. I guess so. Portsmouth first, Stockport. Like that's pretty. I mean, other than like Cornwall, I'm as sort of Southern as like you can get.
Yeah.
So
you can definitely get more Northern than me. You've got like. Your Newcastles and stuff.
Yeah.
But like in Cardiff, there's barely anyone.
It's not. It's you. I'm trying to think.
You've got Elliot who does strength and conditioning. He's from Manchester.
My housemate's from York, but she always complains about how no one's from the north.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Oh, there we go. I'll give that. I'll just let that run again. I remember seeing all the faces, like looking around, especially between It was actually no. It wasn't even in the breaks. Like when it was the rest, I'd be looking at the coach and kind of looking over the shoulder and looking at you. But it was like when I'd face the crowd and you would be there, and I'd sort of have a little look over your shoulder. I'm like, who's there?
Yeah.
Which I feel it was, just slightly. I felt kind of slightly too cocky the whole time. And then, and then I remember that first round we sat down and I thought, yeah, fuck, this is not a cakewalk. This is not going to be like an easy scrap.
Yeah, well, it's
at
like
all.
Building up to it. You've obviously got to be confident. You've got to back yourself.
Yeah.
No one's going in the ring going, I'm gonna lose.
Yeah.
So like, I remember I'd be taking the mick out of you. I'd be saying this and that. Even your missus put something on a story at a point, and like I confirmed it with you before I sent it. I didn't want her to hate me, but I messaged it. She put something about like she put a post being like, "Oh, my man." I messaged her. I was like, "Oh, your man's gonna get knocked out on Monday," and like you've got to be a bit cocky with it.
Yeah.
But then once the day started and we we're warming up and like some of my mates were there. Like I saw some of my mates and like, "Oh, you're gonna smash it. Like you do great." And I was there like, hopefully. I was like, I'm hoping so. They're like, nah, like don't say that. Like you will. And I was like, hopefully. Like I didn't want to. Now that we were in the moment, I didn't want to be too overly cocky and be like, I'm going to do that. Obviously, I still back myself. Like, once again, you're not going to go in the ring thinking, I'm going to lose. But I didn't want to say it.
Did you, like, all honesty, before, did you think when you found out you were going up against me, did you think, okay, like I could win this, or were you like, I'm going to lose?
It was a sort of, like, I can win this. It wasn't I will win this.
Yeah.
It was because we'd sparred once before, and I remember it being fairly even. But I remember when the coach told me that it was me and you. He was like, "Oh, how are you thinking?" And I was like, "Oh, like I felt like I had him, like not much. I wouldn't say when we sparred I was like, oh, miles above you, whatever. I was like, oh, I think I just edged it." And he was like, Dan said the same thing.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he was like, out of all the fights, this is the one that I think is going to be the most 50-50. The coach actually said to me, he's like, I don't think I can call it. And, sometimes you might think that the coach is just saying that because, they don't want to say, oh, you're going to win and you get too cocky, or, oh, you're going to lose and, discredit you. But, like, I genuinely think he believed it would be 50-50.
We had the same call. He phoned me when I was coming back to Cardiff, and I thought the same in the spar. Because I remember we sparred again before that. I thought because I think I'd sparred you last year.
I think at some point, yeah.
You would come along, like you would come so much like a long way, since I'd last sparred you, and I thought, fuck, he's really strong. Like these shots are like way more powerful than I thought.
Yeah.
And then I came away from that spar thinking like, I reckon I could have him, but that was like, that was really, really like close. And then he said to me, yeah, Kieran said the same thing.
Yeah.
And then I was just, my whole thing was just thinking like, but he probably is fitter. Like you probably have that fitness on me.
But you're stronger. That's why that was literally my thinking as well. Because it's like I said just before I went in the ring, like Luke was like, how are you feeling and whatever. And I was like, in sort of 15 minutes it's all going to be over. And I was like, I've ran a marathon, I can handle 6 minutes in a ring with Dan Fields.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I was like, surely I'm not going to gas out that much.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought, because obviously you're a little gym rat. Like, I go to the gym, but like, you're always posting about it and whatever. And I was like, yeah, he's stronger than me, but I think stamina-wise, like that's where that's what it will come down to.
Yeah.
It will come down to whether he can land the harder punches or if I can gas him out. Not exactly like, I'm not saying my stamina is so much better than yours.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like, I think my stamina edges.
If you brought us both to the edge, you're gonna slightly.
Yeah.
I have the slight
only a slight advantage in the stamina. I was like, you have the slight advantage in the muscle. It just depends what it comes down to.
And I was very conscious of that, which maybe even was why I was so nervous in my warm up, and like overly warming up, because I kind of thought I need every bit of stamina I can get. And Aiden also kept saying he will put the heat on you because he knows that he is fitter.
Yeah.
So I was like, I knew you were going to come out, and you did. Like, especially in that second round.
Yeah, you
really. I find it funny that you say I'm going to be sick, and in that second round, it was almost like you just thought, "Fuck it, like we're here, aren't we?" Yeah. And you just came in and put so much pressure on me that I didn't expect. Or like I did expect, but in the fight, it was like this is a switch up. Yeah, what I was going to say though is everyone says in amateurs, especially like your first 3 bouts, it comes down to fitness at the end of the day, who's fitter. And I was thinking, so yeah, I can say I'm stronger, but if he's fitter, he'll win. But I don't think it came down to fitness in the end. I think we both I think we were both fit enough to do those 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think we were in the final round.
And we did just throw for 6 minutes.
Yeah, in the final round, I think we were both like completely gassed, because I remember like the last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I threw like, you got to about 30 seconds and I threw a good punch, and then I was sort of like, obviously I didn't know what time we were on.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking like, oh, that was a good punch, and then I was like, but like, I don't know if I can throw another one.
Yeah.
So I was sort of like just trying to survive. I was throwing out, but the punches that I was throwing weren't that strong. It was sort of just to keep the distance. And then I heard the bell of the 10 seconds, and we both just sort of like got in the pocket, and I was just catching, countering.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I heard the 10 seconds, it was like a little bit of a rejuvenation. I was like 10 seconds and it's over. I can just relax.
Yeah.
So I was just like throwing as much as I could. And yeah, I think you did the same thing, and it didn't seem as if, in the last round, no one was exactly chasing the other.
No. There was one point, and the doctor actually came up to me afterwards, where I stumbled like right across the ref, and it was that, how he stopped us?
Yeah.
And it was like, then it went like, did he stop us and then it went like 10 seconds? Because we were both there like...
There was a point where the ref said something. We both stood there looking at him, and then he was like, fight. And we were like, I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing. It happened like twice, maybe 3 times, where the ref said something, and then we both looked at the ref and looked at each other. And we would just take like a little 2-second break.
Yeah.
And then he would go, "We'll fight," and then we'd go, "Oh, right."
Yeah.
I think it was almost like a gentleman's agreement of like, let's take a quick breather and then crack on.
Pretty much.
But because I remember in those last 10 seconds, Adam said, bite down on your gum shield and just dig, and that's exactly what I thought. And then I was really pissed off because I think I threw a right. I think you countered it, and it just completely I couldn't. It was like it's like I was trying to pull my fist back through like mud. Like I was just like yeah. And then you just went in with some like I think you like won that catch and counter.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you. It felt. I was just throwing.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking, oh, that was a good shot or whatever. I was saying, throw as many as possible.
Were you trying to think game plan at any point in that fight?
Yes. It went out the window, because I sort of once I got in there, I was just, you'd be coming at me and I'd be like, just try and get out of the way and stuff like that, and it wasn't necessarily like, I need to specifically do this, but it was like, because obviously you're stronger, and you love throwing the overhand, so in my head I was like, if necessary, getting close, because you can't throw too much.
Yeah.
When you're right up next to each other, it's all catch and counters, and you can't really hurt people that much with them. And I was also thinking head movement, slip every time I felt like it was coming, and I feel like my head movement isn't great, but in that fight, I am pretty happy with my head movement.
Yeah.
Because there was a few times where I would slip. I think it was mainly the jab, but like I would slip and it would completely miss me, and I was like, thank God. And then I'd obviously be able to come back and counter. Because I was like, if I don't slip and I get hit with the overhand, I was like, that's the most likely thing that will win it for you. And I think the best shot you hit me with wasn't even an overhand. It was, we talked about this, it was a shot to the left of the body. I think final round.
Yeah. I remember feeling it and thinking, if I get another one of those, like I think I felt like breath come out of you when I hit it, and I thought, that's done something.
Yeah, it was because you liked the overhand, you kept going for it, but obviously I'd either slip it or like I would keep my guard up because I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
You sort of were like, all right, let's switch it up a bit, and then you threw that, and yeah, I winced a little bit, and I was like, ooh, and I was like, I took like there's a split second. Obviously, I couldn't wait that long because you were gonna come back at me. The split second where I was like, ooh, and then I had to move, and from then on, I was sort of like, instead of my hand being up here, it was more down here. Cause I was like you said, you were like, oh, if I get another one, something could happen here. And I was like, yeah, I think if he hits me again there, maybe I drop or whatever. I was like, just can't let that happen.
Yeah. I think if I was to do anything different in that fight, I think I'd have just punished, like, gone for more body shots. But
yeah, I feel like I didn't throw too many either.
What is annoying, though, is... And this is going to make me sound like I'm giving myself excuses. But they... And again, this is probably also people just telling me this to make me feel better. But they reckon that there were probably body shots that also were just not counted by the refs. Or like by the judges. And I thought... Because from that point of view, I'd have done it more to risk... That with hindsight, knowing that I could have done way more damage with the body, then I would do it. But also, we both know it's really hard to make someone drop in amateur boxing like that.
Yeah.
So you're probably just better throwing like straight, very obvious shots that land points.
Yeah, well, that's the thing you've got to consider. In amateur boxing, landed body shots are usually regarded higher than a landed headshot because they're harder to land.
Yeah.
But then again, it is also the case of, if someone's got their guard, you hit me with a body shot, and they probably saw the fact that I winced when you hit me with that one, but there would have been others that you would have hit me with that I didn't have as much a reaction to.
Yeah.
And it'd be harder for them to actually register whether it was a good shot or not.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that as the case. I'm not saying, they do. They're just definitely blind. I think it's just people just trying to be nice. But I did think that was interesting. It's like, okay, it's like a double-edged sword going for body shots. Yeah, you probably will get more points, but also, if I'm landing more body shots on you, but you land one jab back and they don't see that they think that the shot I hit to your, rib actually just came off your guard.
Yeah.
Then you're gambling more to go for more points, but actually you come out of it nothing, and then you hit me with a jab or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
So it's interesting. I guess when we've both just had our first bout, so probably not quite at the point of like trying to play the judges.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an interesting thing. I think I thought our bout, with all of the training that we did, was still going to come down to who was the fittest. But actually, I think it did get way more. It still did get quite technical.
Yeah.
I think we did, even though it was like 6 minutes of scrapping, I think we threw like good punches and had good form.
I really, actually being in there, I actually enjoyed being in the ring.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm now thinking, because I wanted to say that I wanted to have at least, because I'm third year, you're second year, I wanted to have at least a fight before I finish uni.
Yeah.
I've done that now. There's also varsity that potentially might happen, and like I said, I've got the Manchester Marathon the day before, so I physically can't do that.
Yeah.
Could look at doing an external bout, but I'm not sure. And then once I finish uni, I feel like I'm not I'm not gonna be into boxing as much as I am.
Yeah.
Like once you've got like a full-time job, like it's not the same as going to train on Wednesday afternoon.
I feel like if anyone could keep it up, though, you'd probably be the best candidate.
Yeah, I do want to like still continue to do boxing or look at doing something else similar.
Yeah.
But it's like actually competing, which I'm questioning.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm glad that I've had the fight now, because now I can say I've boxed, and then like once I leave uni, if I don't continue it, at least I've still done it.
It's the same for me. That was the bucket list. Just one amateur bout at uni. We did it.
But you still got another year. What's your thoughts? Do you want to get back in the ring and do another fight?
My plan never really was to. My plan was just to do one and then hopefully do varsity as well. I think it will go ahead, but the student union convinced otherwise. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But after speaking to Aidan and after just how I feel, because the last few days, I mean, aside from just being hungover, basically.
Yeah.
I have, especially today, waking up was like that kind of feeling a bit like motionless again, like I felt after the camp last year where we actually didn't get to have a fight.
Yeah.
We trained for months and it didn't go ahead. And I was thinking, well, what do I do? Because I did think that I wanted to try a different sport next year. I definitely don't. I'm not going to be on committee again. I've had my stint.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. But it's been great. It's a lot, and I should probably focus on uni.
I feel like most people usually just do a committee role for a year anyway.
Yeah, well, I think you get really into it and then decide to like graduate up. You start with a small role, then go for a big one. I went straight for the biggest role.
Yeah,
which was.
You've done a great job though.
Take it, thank you. Your treasurer.
I've done a bit.
But I don't know. I think I probably will, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I might double down and just absolutely go for it, because I would be able to do Bucks. I'd be able to do the Welsh novices because I'd lived in Wales for 2 years. And if I even start earlier, I could have a couple of external bouts like the first semester.
Yeah.
And then.
Well, no, Dylan's already looking at having another external bout before the end of uni.
I think I'm gonna, if we don't have varsity, or even if we do have varsity, I think I'm gonna still try and get another external bout, because I'm at my best right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right to just go. I mean, I've said I've been hungover all week, but that's I've had two nights of blowout and just back to normal now.
For people when they go into camp, I feel like that is a main sort of issue. The fact that everyone likes a drink and then they go out and you have to stop drinking. For me, that obviously didn't affect me because I don't drink at all anyway.
I didn't really have a problem with it this time
No.
either. I'm drinking loads of 0% beer is actually the trick.
Yeah.
It sounds so ridiculous, and last year when I was sober, then I thought this is ridiculous, and I just drank loads of like Coke Zero and stuff. But actually, that was worse because then I drink loads of caffeine or something when I was out and wouldn't sleep. But have a couple of tins of like Guinness Zero, tastes exactly the same. You feel like you're part of the fun. No one really questions why you're not drinking, even though it's got a big zero on it. People just kind of think you're having a beer as well, and I think that's a lot of it. You don't feel isolated when you're out with your friends.
Yeah. Fair enough, because I know that there's a few people that I spoke to that were like, "Oh, I'm craving a beer right now. Like, I'd love to have a drink. I'd love to get a little drunk." So the fact that you say it didn't affect you is that's good.
Yeah, I think for me, like a beer, a cold beer on like a Friday or like on a beautiful day like it is today, isn't about the feeling about being pissed afterwards. It's just like the feeling of a reward or a nice thing on a nice day.
But it's the social aspect as well, isn't it?
That's the biggest one for me. Is the social aspect.
Yeah.
And you can do that sober.
Yeah,
and
course.
we both do.
Yeah, I just feel like most people feel awkward when they're sat there without a drink in their hand. So I guess having the non-alcoholic, you still blend in.
You've always got something to hold, and also, this is going to sound weird, but I think you get less awkward when you realise that everyone around you is actually drunk, because then you think they're all drunk and you notice that they're all acting a bit weird and woozy, and you think, so why am I bothered about how I look feeling awkward?
Yeah.
It's like a kind of weird like feeder effect. Like you suddenly feel less socially anxious because you know everyone's now drunk and no one is looking at you. Like no one's thinking this guy's not drinking.
Yeah, you're less likely to be the idiot on a night out.
Yes.
When you're the sober one, because everyone else is drunk and you get to, like, you know, in the morning you're the one that they ask, like, oh, like, what did I do last night? And you're like, you did this and that, and they're like, oh, and I wish you were drunk so you didn't remember it, and everyone forgot it.
Yeah,
but I always remember it.
And how good it is, like, when you've had a good night out, when you've been sober. And I remember I went to a house party like a couple of weeks ago, and it was like a great house party, and everyone was hanging the next day. And I went home, and I was speaking to all of them about, this is what happened. Yeah, it was class. Blah blah blah. And I was thinking how good it is actually that I've had like the best of both worlds. I've managed to go to that party, but I also just feel great today, and my Saturday's just not ruined.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, I went out after Monday. After the fight, by the time I came back and saw you, so I went home after the fight, got changed, came back. My friend had given me 2 buzzballs in that time. I hadn't eaten anything, I hadn't drank in months, so that all just went straight to my head. And to be honest, the hangover lasted till like Wednesday.
Yeah.
And yesterday again, after going out Wednesday night, student night, so I had to do it again.
Yeah, of course.
And then all of yesterday, I was just like, this is not fun. And Aidan said to me, he said, look, he said to me on Wednesday training, he said, go out tonight. This is going to be some wild advice to hear from a coach, but go out and drink so much that you never want to drink again. Yeah. And over the last two nights I've been out, it's like that's exactly what I've done.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I want to train again.
No, I get that. It's like since the fight, like I've had some meal deals and I've had some like I've not really made much food. I had some like takeaways and whatever.
Meal
like,
deals,
sort of
scandalous.
Well, you know what I mean. Like I've not cooked.
Yeah. You're not really too bothered.
No, but like I've got, like I said, Manchester Marathon in a month's time, so I'm gonna start like properly. Like, you know, I'm gonna leave boxing for like it's not on. Like we're not doing it for Easter anyway.
We're done now.
The uni's called it off for Easter, so I'm just gonna lock in with my running, do the next month, get that little bit better as much as I can before the marathon, and then I think after the marathon I'll do a bit of boxing at uni, and then once I finish uni I'll probably go back home. I haven't boxed at home because over the summer I wasn't here.
Yeah.
I was abroad, so I couldn't really find a gym. So I think when I go back home, I'll try and find a boxing gym, or I'll look at something else. I don't know else, like jiu-jitsu or something. Maybe look at something more
nice.
grappling based. I know that's what. Do you remember Connor from last year, the ginger guy?
Yeah.
He did boxing for a bit and then he switched, and he was like, I'd rather like get put in an armbar than get a concussion. Because concussions suck. And I was like,
I don't really. I for one just can't be arsed for grappling.
No.
I just just get on your feet and fight. That's
fair enough.
But then again, there are people that can do some serious things and snap my shoulder out of place with, and it's incredible what what the grapplers can do. Like you see it with the UFC guys. The best guys come from the grappling background because it's just takes so long to get good at.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, now that I've done a fight, I've like sort of like done boxing. You know what I mean? Maybe branch out or like kickboxing or something. Now that I know how to throw my hand, maybe learn how to throw my feet.
Yeah. I did kickboxing before I came into boxing actually. Yeah, and
I'd never done it. I'd done other sport like your footballs, your rugby's. I'd never done any sort of like fighting sports.
Do you think you're always going to keep a fighting sport like in the rotation?
I think so. Yeah. Like I used to. I used to play basketball, so I'd like to do, maybe like a five-a-side football, or like do something like that. Like find a pickup game for basketball to like do like on a Tuesday night after work or something once I've got a job. But also, I'd like to keep the sort of fight aspect because I do enjoy I enjoy sparring. I enjoyed our fight.
Yeah.
So it's a different feeling to playing basketball, playing football.
Yeah, I mean, that's the next thing I wanted to ask you about actually, was how you felt in the ring. Because I as painful as it was, I was like, I love this. In a weird way. This feels very like I feel alive right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. You don't really get that from like a Tuesday night five-a-side team.
No.
But that's good fun.
Oh yeah, of course. But it is a different feeling. I saw a video this morning actually, which it was an Instagram reel, and it was like there was a video of these two people sparring, and the caption was, "Some guys are more scared of talking to a girl than actually sparring," and it's like
so true.
Yeah, like the amount of people that I'm not going to call out names, but the amount of people that are boxing that I know would rather get in a ring and do sparring with like one of us than they would to talk to a girl on a Wednesday night is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, but like you can practice sparring, you don't you don't practice talking to a girl.
You do. It's called rejection therapy. And I've had a lot of it.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. You're like, please, because my missus was coming up to watch the fight, and you said, even if you win, at least you're going back home with someone.
Yeah. I said that to you, didn't I? Yeah, because but I also said to her that if I win, I get custody of you, and she said, enjoy the snoring.
Oh yeah, she had to deal with that Monday night. That would have been epic. I bet. Because I woke up and I was like, I definitely just snored that whole night. But yeah, I wanted to ask about how you felt like actually being in the ring when. I mean, firstly you're walking in, ropes go up, you get in.
I was so nervous. Like upstairs warming up, fine.
Yeah.
When we were waiting outside to walk in, fine. But then once we were walking, and then once we got in the ring, I was breaking it. Yeah. I had Aiden just next to me, just going, breathe. He was like slower. I was just there, just going. So I was genuinely, like I said, I was like locked in. I wasn't looking around at anyone. I was in my own head. I was just like, let's just get it done with.
Yeah, fair. My nerves peaked before we went out.
Yeah.
When we were in the waiting bit, and I had the towel around my neck, and it was fucking freezing. So we'd gone from the really hot balcony, and Adam said, "Oh yeah, by the way, it's gonna get cold." Like so, he put the towel around my neck, and I was looking at it and I was like, it felt really like almost like about to go out for an execution. Like I was like, Jesus, this is it. And he had a hand on my shoulder and he was like, yeah, breathe, think about, he rather than saying just breathe, he was like, think about what you're going to do, think about your shots. And that helped.
Did it throw you off getting sent to the wrong corner? Because we switched. We were confused on who was walking out first.
Yeah, and my walkout
your song started playing.
My song went wrong as well. They played from the wrong. They played like way too early.
Yeah. We were confused. Like some of the coaches saying one thing, Aiden was saying the other, and then your song started playing. So we're like, oh, it's you. She went out, and then they were there. Like Josephine comes over. She's like, he's in the wrong corner. So Riley had to go over and tell you to move to the other corner. And on the live stream, because some of my mates were watching it from home, they said that when you walked out, it said Kieran Taylor.
Yeah.
And they were like, "What's that about?" And then when I walked out, it said Dan Field. So it switched. It was the way around.
I was sure that I was blue corner, but I think I must have. One of us must have read it. I think it was me. I think from the get go, I must have read it wrong.
I think,
and then told everyone I'm blue.
I think Aiden he had two lists. It was like one list was for like the order, and then the other was for like the actual corners or something. Because he changed it, so we ended up being on the other corners.
But I don't know, to be honest, how much that did throw me. I think the walkout song was the bigger thing. The song not being played at the right part, I didn't get that. I don't know how much it affected my head in the moment, because I didn't really think, I was like, it's not quite right, but all right.
What was your walkout song?
Mini Me's by Meeks.
Okay.
And I'd thought about walking out to that song for so long, and I think that looking back, that's more just annoyed me, because I was like, you're probably not gonna walk out to the same song again.
No.
And if they got that at the right point, who knows? Maybe that would have given me a way bigger this is the moment.
I reckon I probably would have been a bit annoyed as well if it had been played from a different point.
So I think the walking to the ring and the walking back, like I said, I felt quite. So that's fine, chill. But maybe all of that did snap me out a bit, because I was like, play it off, it's cool, it doesn't matter. Whereas actually maybe if I hadn't been thinking that, and I hadn't been thinking to calm myself down because of the issues, perhaps I would have been psyching myself up more, because there wouldn't have been issues I had to distract myself from, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I know with my song I did Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J.
Yeah.
And when it first started playing, it starts off by saying, over the competition I'm towering, and then by the time that I get in the ring, it's him saying, I'm going to knock you out, Mama said knock you out. And I feel like if they played it at a wrong point, it would have thrown me off a little bit, because the main part is, it's him repeating saying knock you out. If they end up playing it for a different point, I was getting in the ring and I didn't hear that, I'd be like, oh, well, it's like the lyrics don't sort of mean as much, if you know what I mean.
It's the same, mine was supposed to go from acting, why can't I remember the lyrics? But it's like, acting like they are, but I'm the one they pretend to be. So I can't remember the lyrics for the life of me. It's really pissing me off. I just know that I can think of the music, the chorus in my head, and I was like, I put on the instructions, and I did this for everyone. If we could have walked out, if we could have had a bit where the music played and then walked out, include that bit. And I made that very, very clear. And then the judges said, don't have dead time, don't play the song for 15 or 30 seconds and then walk out. Play it from the point that they want to walk out, and immediately music plays, they walk out to that part.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, that's fine. The notes just
plan it.
There was literally 2 columns on the sheet that said, if walk out, if warm up the crowd, play from there. If not, play from there. And that was for everyone. And I think they must have got it wrong for quite a lot of people's song.
I'm not sure. I just know that for mine, it worked quite well.
Yours
so
worked quite well.
Happy with it.
But yeah, I don't really know. That's the thing. I mean, we can blame it on all of these things. I do feel. Do you feel that you performed the absolute best that you could have done?
I definitely think I performed the best I have done.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely pushed myself. Whether there was maybe at the end of the third round, I was just giving it my all. Maybe if when the last 10-second bell rang for the first and second round, maybe I could have just done the same thing and in the third just start throwing. But yeah, for the majority of it, I'm pretty proud with the way I went about it, and I was gassed at the end of it. I think if we did another round, it would have just been another round. It would have been a round of me just trying to avoid being hit. I would have just been up, just moving as much as I could. So yeah, I think whether it's the best I could have done, maybe there's a little room for improvement. Maybe it wasn't exactly 100%, but it was definitely the best I have done.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
What about you?
I did feel like I had more to give.
Yeah?
Yeah. I remember and this was the thing that felt really weird. I remember there was this point where I dug, and like I say, maybe it was me kind of my brain only warming up during the fight, and I thought like something would kind of click and turn on, or I would dig deep and find that next layer we always talk about, and I just couldn't I couldn't access it.
Yeah.
And then looking back, like everyone said, oh, you were going for it, and it looked like you were going for it more. At one point, apparently, I went from like punching hard to punching even harder. And I don't really remember. I maybe that was me digging deeper and not realising it.
Yeah. I mean, you're saying that, but you know, the coach said in front of everyone, not like it was just to us, and he says it to everyone. He said it in front of like people that train on Wednesday. Best fight of the night, and one of the best fights he's seen.
And he's
so
reffed like
we can sit here and say, oh, you know, there was more to give as much as we want, but at the end of the day, we've been told that we put up a great fight regardless.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too much to nitpick and complain on.
It's
our first fight.
It's happened, and it was. I think the fact that we can like break it down as much as we have for our first fight shows that it was a good fight.
Exactly.
How did you feel when you won?
Part of me, like, I had Aiden in my corner. Part of me, like, felt like it was coming. Like, I knew it was close. Like they said split decision, and I was expecting that. But I had Aiden in my corner, and you know, after the first round, he was like, "Oh, like, you know," he's like, "I think that was yours." He was like this and that. I can't fully remember what he was saying. I was just trying to breathe. But he was like, "Yeah, like I think that round was yours." And the second round, he's like, "Oh, you're doing really well." So like, part of me was sort of thinking like there is a possibility that I've won this. No, there wasn't a point where I thought like, "Oh, he's definitely won." You know what I mean? Like I was thinking, like when they said split decision, it was like, "Oh, you know, it was even." I could hear his name next, but I was hopeful, and then I heard my name. He lifted my arm, and it was the relief.
Yeah.
I was like, the work has paid off. First thing I did, go over to you, shake your hand, said, you know, well done. Went over to Adam and Daria and all this. It wasn't until I got out the ring and like saw my mates and stuff that I then I did cry a little bit. I wasn't, you know, broke down in tears like, oh my god, but there was like, you know, a tear from each eye.
Yeah.
There's a photo. I'll show you now of so my best mate had come down from Stockport.
Yeah.
And Sam was up top taking photos. And he got this photo of my best mate, and you can see he's just absolutely screaming in my face.
Let me can that could probably be zoomed in, and that is
put it in the edit.
That's incredible.
But yeah, he's just there like screaming in my face. And then my dad and my brother were behind him, and I saw them, and it was just like, I was like, it's done. You know, the 6 minutes sort of as you get in the ring, that 10-minute period, I was like, the putting the work paid off, and I was just, it was more relief than anything.
Yeah.
And then my mum wasn't there, but she'd watched it. Well, she said she was sort of, you know, couldn't really watch it.
Yeah.
But then I called her, and she was like, oh, like, well done and all this. And then the next thing was, I was just thinking, oh, like, my mate Dylan's up next. So then I went and got changed. He was warming up. I was like, well done. And then I sort of, it was like, I'm hoping for him to win. Yeah. And he did as well, which was great. So, there was a 5-minute period where I was, like, celebrating a little bit. Like, I saw Sam and saw my mates and gave them hugs. And then I was sort of, the stress came back a little bit more, like, a little bit, obviously not as much for myself, but came back a little bit, because then I was like, oh, I want to watch Dylan, I want him to win, and some of the mates and whatever. But yeah, what was your feelings after?
I was pretty gutted.
Yeah.
I think for me it was like, I think I knew by the second round. I was like, this might not go my way, because Adam was like, he wasn't saying you're winning. He was just saying you're boxing really well. And I was like,
That could have just been the way that he words it though. It might not have been.
When I've seen him before, and like when I've sparred and seen him in the corner before, I think I kind of just knew the difference between him, like saying, "You're losing" or "You're winning," and yeah. So when it came, it didn't come as a shock. But then I think in that moment I was like, so I knew I could have done. Like, fuck, if only I could have dug a bit deeper.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt a bit like embarrassed in a weird way. Like I kind of just I wanted to be, and people said, "Oh look, it's pretty gutted," and I was like, "Fuck." So shook your hand, shook Aiden's, shook the refs, and then I was just like, get me out of it.
Yeah.
Because I think in my mind I was like, the relief hadn't been satisfied, so I was like, I'm gonna have to keep doing this until I win now.
Yeah.
Which is probably not like the best. And Aiden said to me, "Please don't have this mentality." I think that's just it's the reality, isn't it? Especially when it's your first bout. Like, you're thinking. Everyone says, "Oh, it's not about the winning; it's the taking part." Split decision's amazing. But let's be honest, we both wanted to win.
Yeah, I would have had the same feeling. I'd sort of like jokingly said to my mates beforehand, I was like, if I lose, prepare to not see me for like the next month, because I'm just gonna be like locked in, like I'm just gonna gym, whatever. Like I'm just gonna, I would have felt a bit like you're saying, like, oh, I could have done a bit more. Like I just probably would have maybe tried to work a bit harder for. Obviously, I'm still training for this marathon, but I feel like I might have just gone like, get in the zone, do it.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of that, and then I think part of me is like looking at it from, sort of spiritual, religious lesson of like, okay, right, there's a reason this has happened. I found it I just found that ring like incredibly isolating, and I really thought that certain things would kind of come over me, and like I say, you hit that flow state, and it really felt like you're not hoping to find something more in the ring. You're just hoping that everything you've brought from training is going to come in with you. That's like the only way I can describe it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I sort of get what you mean. I feel like next time I go to spar, I'm going to feel more confident sparring.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I've done this before. Like I've actually fought.
Nothing could be worse than that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like sort of every time I spar before, even sparring people that also haven't fought, I'm just there like sort of, I don't know what it actually feels like. My sparring, like I'm not like sparring is supposed to sort of simulate like a fight, but I've not actually fought. Yeah. And now that I've done that, I feel like when I get into the ring again, I'm gonna be like, like you said, can't be as bad.
Yeah. I think now I'm just going to have to keep boxing until I win. Like you said, what am I going to do after this? I mean, if I lose varsity, then I can't be boxing all of next year.
Well,
but
Luke, his record's currently 2-2.
Yeah.
But he lost his first two.
Yeah.
So then he came to his third fight was against Luca.
Yeah.
And he was at the point where like, if I lose this, I've lost 3. And he beat Luca, and then he fought on the last home show we had. And he actually, the vest that he wore in the last home show is the vest that I wore in ours.
There you go. That's why you won.
That's what I was
lucky
saying.
charm.
That's what I said to Aiden. I was like, I've got the vest, because he was the only person in that room on Monday. He was the only person in that room that had fought for Cardiff Uni and won. Because you had Dylan was there, like Bryn was there, Luca was there, but they'd all fought and lost at the last home show. He was the only person who, like, he came up to watch us. He was the only person there that had fought and won for Cardiff Uni. And when he left uni, he gave me his vest. So in my head, I was like, lucky vest, please. So maybe I have to find like someone that's not fought yet.
Give me that vest. Give me that vest.
No, you fought. I need to find. I might find someone. I'll give it to someone that like a first year or a second year that only just started and be like, have this, please do it good and actually win with it.
I do think though, as much as I wanted to win, I was thinking how happy I am for you because, like you say, this may be the last time that you box. At least you've got to box, have your fight on a high, and leave it. I've got plenty of time to keep boxing.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you're looking at it like that and not looking at it like, fuck him.
I'm keeping a humble face.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was what can we say? Everything we've already said has been said. Like, it was a good scrap. It was a really good fight. Everyone loved it. And it went split decision. And, yeah, I mean, everyone said it was, like, it was so evenly matched the whole time. Like.
Well, when we were first told that we were fighting each other, because I thought we were looking at external bouts.
Yeah.
So when I was told that I was fighting, like, not only someone else in the boxing, but, you know, a committee member that, you know, I class as a friend.
Yeah.
I was a bit like, I would rather fought someone I don't know.
I was the same way, and I was like, is this gonna... I was thinking, is this gonna change us? And I remember the first time we had training, it felt very awkward.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just...
Yeah.
I think we compartmentalised it quite well.
Yeah, I think it's sort of... I'd say it's done us better.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree.
Because we sort of come out of that ring, like, sort of, you know, a bit more, like, with more respect for each other.
Yeah.
Because, like, I was thinking, in my head, I was like, if I lose to someone external, then I never have to see him again.
Yeah.
But if I lose to someone I know, then, you know, it's sort of that, like, oh, they can hold it over us. But, like, it was that close a fight, and, like, you know, we've got respect for each other. I'm not gonna walk into every training session and go, oh, you know, here's my winner's medal. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
And also, I don't think, like, I thought what was good from, like, a kind of synopsis of the fight is, because you're my mate, I'm not going to go and say, oh, well, he was just a lucky twat, or, like, he just threw these dodgy shots, or there's so many things, like, so many excuses that you could make, against, like, a guy you never see again, that I think also people would quite happily reinforce.
Yeah.
And say, but Dan, you just got unlucky. Whereas in this, you've got to really face
the music. If you're saying it to the other boxers at our club, and you're saying, oh, like, Kieran just got lucky, then they'll probably be like,
no, yeah, no one's saying you got lucky.
Yeah.
And that's good, because then it makes, you know, you have to really come to the reality of, like, this is why. This is what you could have done better. And again, like, everyone said, how did it feel to box your mate? I thought, I don't feel like the anger is towards you. I feel so much of it is you're fighting yourself.
Yeah.
And it's also just kind of the sport.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like it was you and me, unfortunate enough to be friends, but we're still in the ring and we're still going to perform.
Yeah, in the ring, you know, when I was throwing punches, I wasn't thinking, oh, you know, I've just thrown a jab, or I've just thrown a right hook at my mate. I was just thinking, this is my opponent. You know what I mean?
I never thought I feel bad.
No.
Right? And I didn't think that going in. I never thought, this is going to be tough. And again, maybe it's also because being mates from a boxing gym makes it easy because we have sparred each other. Whereas
True.
I think if I was to grab one of, like, say, my mates from home and just randomly start sparring them, I'd feel maybe a bit worse. But because I knew,
but I think if it was someone that I was like closer with, because obviously we're mates, like, we're on the committee together, we box together, but, you know, I don't see you that much outside of boxing.
Yeah.
Like, we don't go on nights out. Like, whereas for, like, Ollie, for example, he's one of my best mates in Cardiff. I see him, you know, fairly often, and he comes to boxing.
Yeah.
I think if I was to be put in a ring with him, like, I would have been like, once again, you know, I probably wouldn't have said, like, in the ring, I probably wouldn't have exactly thought, like, oh, I feel bad hitting him there and that. But I feel like I definitely would have gone into it feeling a lot different.
Yeah, I agree. I think we were in a good position in terms of, like, boxing friendship, whereas, if I had someone, like, that I go out with a lot outside of boxing, I don't know. I think our relationship dynamic was like the perfect place that we could box and be fine, but it also not affect our boxing.
Yeah, it's like if I think about it in terms of like if I was to be put in the ring with my brother, like say my brother boxed, and I was get put in the ring with him. Once again, like once we're in the ring, like we both agreed to be in the ring, both agreed to throw punches or whatever. But you know, no one wants to hit their brother. You know what I mean?
No.
Even though you've both gone, we're both boxers, both want to fight. You know, we both want to win. No one particularly wants to hit their brother.
Yeah, and I think even though we can say, you know, we were able to deal with it and box, there are people that you don't want to box, and there are people that, you know, let's say it could be anyone in the world that you want to box. You know, there will be people that you're going to go, no, like I'm not going to box my dad, I'm not going to box like this friend.
Exactly.
But Kieran, treasurer, congratulations
President
on
now.
Monday. President now, dethroned.
I told you I debated.
Beat me in single combat.
I debated doing it for my walkout song, Jay-Z, Dead Presidents.
I think you should have done it, but I think it only would have worked if they had announced. They had to have announced.
That's what I mean.
I'd have had to have
there
walked
was some
out,
people that would know it. There's some people that get the reference. I think if it was like, if we sparred in Intra Club, I think it would have been
100%.
better. Because everyone knows your president, everyone knows I'm treasurer, everyone would get it. Whereas their majority of people probably wouldn't have. They would have thought, yeah, that's a good song, but they wouldn't have actually got the implication.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking was the Macarena, because imagine coming out, the whole crowd's just doing the Macarena.
Well, that was the thing is, looking back, I think now, if I'm going to do a walkout song to that kind of crowd, I'm going to pick a song that is more fun for the crowd than for me, because for one, they messed it up.
Yeah.
But for another, I barely heard it. And everyone was saying pick a song that will psych you up, and that's what I thought.
Well, Ed did Macarena. Not Macarena, he did Gangnam Style.
Someone did Greatest Showman.
Yeah, that was Noah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, thank you very much for coming on, being my first...
It's been a pleasure.
First proper podcast guest in this layout studio, episode 3 of the Archives. Thank you very much. I will include the fight either at the beginning or the end for everyone to watch. Thanks for watching. See you later.
Been lovely.
Cheers, everyone.